Greetings. This is your girl Isis Wisdom of the Isis Wisdom Show. Tonight we got a very special guest with Dr. Delbert Blair. We're bringing back from a previous show that we had did with him a while back, where he dropped the science about metaphysics. I'm actually waiting for him to call in now. For those who are currently called into the show, the number is 347-884-8787 for those who don't know the number. For those who are currently called into the show, press 1, and then your call will be in queue. And I see a couple of y'all already have your ones up already. That's crazy. Like, the man ain't even get started yet, and you already got ones pressed up. Nonetheless, in the meantime, I also wanted to run something past you. I had him on my show Monday for like 10 minutes breaking down the science and the mathematics of earthquakes. And he told us that there was going to be another earthquake before the end of the week. Well, we actually ended up having an earthquake like the following day. That happened down in Indonesia, which was a 7.8 earthquake. So I found that to be kind of profound. So we're actually going to be talking with him about those things. And so, now he's called in, so now I can go ahead and take the call. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello, Dr. Delbert Blair. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, Sister Isis Wisdom. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was getting a little nervous there. I said, geez, he hasn't called in yet. I was like,
hey, believe me, this day has been very interesting. Gotten calls from Europe and everything else because of some of the predictions I made on these quakes. And, of course, there was another one. They've been hitting over in Europe like mad also. And there was a big one, 4.6 in Anchorage here in Alaska. So we're not alone on this. Believe me, the government is not going to report what's really happening. We're coming into quite a mess. And as I say, I still think it's a time of deliverance. But it's nothing like it used to be. This ain't Kansas, Toto.
Yeah, you got that right. I actually had put up a media report that CNN had put out where the reporter said, These earthquakes are not a coincidence. Like, he just put it all the way out there. I mean, I was just waiting for the man to say everything. I just waited for him just to go ahead and say, HAARP is doing it, but he went everywhere else but there. But he basically just broke it down. He was a scientist, and he basically broke it down and just said, these earthquakes are not a coincidence. So I can tell that there are quite a few people that are alarmed. They're probably doing the same mathematics that you're doing, where people are starting to wake up and say, wait a minute. Something's not. He even broke down the mathematics on that. He was touching on it just like a little bit, but he didn't go too far with it. You know what I mean? But he basically said, like, he's basically hinting around to the fact that it seems like these earthquakes are now being predicted and things of that nature. So I just thought that to be kind of funny how now they're coming out of this as much as they can, or trying to say something but really not saying anything at all.
Well, the colonizer and the colonist, the interloper and the indigenous, those who will tell truth, those who can never tell truth, and those who are paid off and afraid to tell the truth. But, when it gets down to the nit and the grit, everybody usually doesn't want to die. And everybody wants to get their soul straight if they have one before they go. And so all the lies that they've told and all the deceptions that they've kidded themselves with by getting drunk and getting high and excusing it with money are now coming back to haunt. We're going to have to do a lot of self-effacing. So it doesn't matter what your position is on earth. You're still on earth, and you still got penalties to pay or rewards to reap. So we'll find out in the long run. Scion means to know. Most of these scientists don't. And those that do, they're bought off, and so they won't tell you the truth anyway because you're not worth it, and their masters are. So servant master, truth against false, and real against unreal.
All right, so break down about what this earthquake was down in Indonesia. They were predicting about the tsunami right after that. They said that this particular earthquake actually hit underground in the ocean. I think they said the thing was like 21 feet down. I think it was in the ocean, and then of course they announced the tsunami. So I was wondering if you can shed us some light, just a little bit of light on that.
Well, 21 feet down would not even be in the ocean. That's just like a 21-foot person if we had it. What could you do 21 feet below the ocean? Nothing could even start that's natural at 21 feet. Now, if you said 22 miles or something like that, now you got something. Anything 22 feet would either be a submergible craft that was starting something or something that was bobbing in the water. So, as I say again, when you start telling lies, let's just go back and take a look, first of all, in a slow pace at the Indonesian Ocean and Diego Garcia. when that first thing hit, and time flies so fast now as our planet is speeding up in vibrational rates, that first thing hit was about 2 years ago, and it hit at a point in the Indonesian Ocean, or in the Indian Ocean, or near Indonesia, that was called Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is off the east coast of Africa, and it's about, I'd say about 1,000 miles off the east coast of Madagascar. And Madagascar Island, of course, is a route from Angola as you're going east, to give a person pretty much an idea. Diego Garcia was a naval base there, and was not only a submarine pin, but it was also, they had part of one of the fleets. Don't ask me what fleet, because they intermix them so. But it was a large naval armada, both in submarines, atomic submarines, probably new craft and all like that. And that was where it was based, far enough away from any mainland that anything approaching it could be sighted and probably could be fended off if you're crazy enough to attack an armada like that, unless you had some kind of a ship that was better than the ones that they had there. About 13 days after they left, 12 to 13 days, that's where the point of that earthquake hit. Now, exactly at Diego Garcia is where it started. Now, you tell me that it's an accident where you have a naval submarine pin and a big Navy ship there all around that mile area there. That's exactly where the epicenter of the thing started? I don't think so. Either they blew up something that was there, or something was started that was there that they had to leave and knew it was coming. So once you had that, then you had your tsunamis and all that hit from it. Isn't it interesting now that they're still playing around, or something is still happening in the Indonesian Ocean? There is something that went wrong there. Something either attacked them, something changed, or else they did something and wanted to destroy any evidence of what they had done something, so they simply started that quake. Now, once you begin to do something to a planet, the planet is a live being, whether we realize it or not. The planet has life, because if it wasn't live, it couldn't produce life. You cannot get life from death. Consequently, the things that grow here, the atmospheres that we have here, the flora and fauna that we have there, all let you know that this is a sentient creature, thing, or being. I call it a beautiful woman, because they refer to it in history as a female planet, and it's growing things. So when you begin to mess with the womb of a woman, when you begin to mess with the growth cycle of a woman, when you begin to destroy and be unfaithful to this woman, pretty soon the woman's going to be made to pay. Now, she may be a slave or indentured for a while, but now our planet has gotten enough. And as I stated before, whoever wants to believe it can find their own facility, or whatever they feel should be their own opinion on it again. But our planet has been granted a right by the Creator to go from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. It's like, as they say, going from kindergarten to graduate school, all now within the space of the next 3 years. This journey didn't just start, but we're just beginning to awaken to what is happening here. This means that when you do something to a planet to hold back the progression, as this planet is now awakening and being very smart, and the people on it have to also awaken and become very smart, they now are no longer going to take the whipping without feeling it. They're no longer going to be lied to without reverberating from it, and she's no longer going to be messed with without retaliation. So once you start this, it's not as though you started and walk away as a bully would do. You now started something. And as our planet awakens more and more, as the people on this planet who have melanin and who are spiritually been dead and almost castrated in mind and body, as they're now reawakening, it means that also as the planet awakens, the DNA that we've been with, what they call junk DNA, and this is what the scientists call it, these things that are in our gene pool are beginning to reform. It's just like you had dormant seeds that had been genetically worked, and now the seeds are trying to go back to the original. The original people here were very much like gods. This planet was still is a very beautiful planet. If you travel, you've got every kind of climate you can think of, every kind of creature you can think of. In short, as we reawaken, and as the planet comes out of a sleep, and the people that are on the planet that were supposed to be the real indigenous people are awakening, things have to begin to change. And there are those creatures here who don't want it to change. They don't want the politics to change. They don't want the culture to change. They don't want the concepts to change. They want to make it status quo. Status quo means that the planet goes backwards, the planet dies or becomes one that can no longer hire life forms, and all these wonderful crystal children that are being born and all these awakened people out here like you and me would have to go. I don't think it's going to be that way. So as they mess over us and mess with us, they're now getting messed over and messed with too. So now you've got a battle going on and around our planet, with life forces and those who want to be high in consciousness versus the old dogmatic, or what they would call reptilians and stuff, who've